Anivia, fantastic wave clear. Sivir as well, fantastic wave clear. So TSM is going to have to try to zone those champions off the turrets before they can really get access to them.
And talking about zoning, we already went over the Caitlyn and the Lux synergy in terms of area control. Azir adds to that even further, as you've mentioned. On the opposite side, you've got two different forms of terrain creation as well as the Anivia ultimate. Both of these squads are so well equipped to manipulate the battlefield and make sure their opponents are moving in specific places at specific times. So much of this game is going to come down to who executes those abilities better.
It certainly will, and I also think, when you are running this Caitlyn Lux, a lot of it can often come down to the laning phase. Can you be able to actually dominate that lane? Get the tempo in your favor, take down that bottom lane turret early, and then start to move around the map, pile up those turrets, pile up that global gold for yourself, because that is really what Caitlyn wants to be doing. You do not want to be trading farm against the likes of a Sivir, who is going to be a monstrously strong carry later in the game.
Also, a lot of that faith being placed in Acadian here by TSM. That Skarner is going to be your main engage this time around. Yes, you have some Lux bindings. Yeah, you've got the Azir potential to go in for the Shurima shuffle, but more often than not, it's going to be up to this singular frontliner to make everything happen here for this long-range artillery squad of a composition, and that means Acadian needs to be on point here.
And we'll see if he's going to be able to execute here for TSM, grab himself his first win, and keep TSM in that hunt for first place. And they're looking for an invade here on the bottom side. Definitely able to just walk it out. And, will stay safe there. He did not skill anything, so if that binding was on target, he still could have actually skilled the spell shield and just used that instead of his flash. I do like the attempt for TSM, though. Very little cost to doing those sorts of plays, and sometimes you will be rewarded with a flash or maybe even that kill.
Nothing too crazy going on here at level 1. Looking into the top side, I will point out something a little bit unusual. The Aatrox going for Electrocute as opposed to the Conqueror that you so often see on the champion. Wants to have a little bit more burst potential when he gets on top of this chase.
Yeah, exactly. So there's kind of a couple different thought processes here. If you are going Aatrox, there's Conqueror, which is more for the extended trades. You can look at something along the lines of Grasp for kind of quick melee trades where you're going to be constantly able to stack that up. Comet is more for the poking. Electrocute is generally considered for the all-in. That is looking for that kind of one-punch combo where you're going all in on top of him. You're trying to block the Electrocute and burst down the Jace. And that is because you're not going to be able to have long extended trades with that ranged champion. He's generally going to be kiting you back and forth. You can also see over on the other side, this is the Aerie, which is pretty lane-focused here for Broken Blade. Aerie Scorch is about as lane-focused as you generally get for Jace. It does end up having you in a situation where you have a lot of poke, you have a lot of pressure in the early game, and that is why you see Haunter also resolve secondary, Doran shield, to try to help with that sustain and withstand this poke so that he can farm under his turret.
Pretty much mandatory to have such a start going up against a champion like Jace that is going to bully 90% of lane matchups in the early phases of the game. You can see Broken Blade taking early command of the wave right now, zoning Haunter away from it, and that'll be the story of things here for a little while. We're looking at the junglers. Both started off on the bottom side. Acadian going for the full clear through his jungle, while you're going to see Contracts making a bit more of a speedy trip towards the top side, as Froggen has lost quite a bit of HP here in the mid lane.
Yeah, he really has. And in Bjergsen, this is a build you may have been seeing recently with the Comet. This kind of new style is your build. It is less about the attack speed. It is generally a Luden's Rush into Sork Boots. You are Q-maxing as normal, but you have Comet, and it's all about how much poke can you actually do. It's less about the sustained damage. He's waiting for his smite, but that is a little bit of an oopsie as it does reset.
Gotta be careful about those there. Broken Blade in some trouble. Flash over the wall, he'll stay safe.
Yep, and he has a trade of flashes there. Still, I would say a good gank from Contracts, especially, Acadian a little bit behind the curve as his smite wasn't quite up. He was trying to actually kite it out and wait for that smite, but it didn't come up in time, so did have to allow that to reset. And that is a little cute mind game that you can see. You'll notice that Smoothie threw out the Lucent Singularity, that E, and then didn't detonate it. Definitely basically has to pop the spell shield, and then Smoothie doesn't want to detonate it to give him the mana back. So you're kind of trying to bait that out and playing this mind game back and forth of when you think they may detonate it, will they do it at all? And it's kind of this little fun interaction that Sivir can have with Lux in the lanes.
One of the original mini games in League of Legends. People talked about a lot of champion reworks like the Fiora changes and the Skarner changes with Vitals and Spires introducing mini games in, but the Sivir Spell Shield's always been one of those existing in the game for the longest time. Some damage finding its way onto Ole here in the bottom side. And remember, the story about Ole has just been Kench or no Kench for this guy and for the Golden Guardians. It seems like him being on that pick has been so paramount for the Golden Guardians finding success, and they're really hoping they can get to the point where it's not quite as mandatory for them to pop off.
Yeah, 3 of their 4 wins, I do believe, have come on that Tahm Kench. They were able to get another win, I believe it was on Nautilus, if I'm recalling correctly. But he hasn't had those standout games, and oh, they're going for the all-in!
Smoothie's in some trouble here. Shields himself up. He'll stay alive. The Ignite comes down from Ole. No summoner spells expended there by TSM. Means they'll at least come out of that better off in that.
Yeah, so, you are down health, and if they can get a re-engage.
Once again, Ole going in, not afraid at all of this TSM duo. He'll grab some more health off of Sven, shove the wave up, and that means Ole's got the opportunity to go back to base.
Yeah, so a couple nice hooks there from Ole, maintaining some lane pressure, but they are down a fair bit as far as the farm goes. Lux and Caitlyn going to be able to kind of poke them and harass them quite a lot here. Contract's now looking for a potential gank over to Bjergsen, but as long as Bjergsen is saving a soldier, has a charge of that W, it's an easy disengage, and you can see
right there.
That is why he kind of holds on to that. If you're wondering why is he dropping multiple soldiers for the additional damage, it's to always have one in reserve for that retreat. But yeah, this is your build, is more pork focused, as we're going to see another engage on the bot side, but Smoothie should be able to disengage, and a nice trade back.
Ole just does not stop, but TSM is not going to allow him to get away with it for free just like that. They'll put a lot of damage right back into the Nautilus. Make sure he stays nice at low HP, so he's afraid to do that again. Topside, Broken Blade going in onto Haunter here, able to find some nice damage down onto that Aatrox, who is out of sustain. No potions left in inventory, means Dorian's shield's all he's got to regen.
Yeah, and this is always a bad spot when you are kind of low under your turret, but Broken Blade not having flash has to respect the fact that the jungler could be making a trip up there, so that will buy Haunter time to actually farm out that wave, despite the fact that Trundle was not actually around. So, that kind of earlier gank buying him that pressure. And it is actually Haunter ahead on farm, which is certainly a nice position for them to be in. Contract's going to be spotted in the ward and should have actually seen it expire right beside him. So we'll know that they have an idea of where he could be on the map for the next couple minutes.
Contract's also having his challenging smite up means that there's no way Acadian can fight him right now. Even if you're on the Skarner Spire, if Trundle has challenging smite and a level up on you, he's going to beat you when you have no way to fight back against that. If you look at Acadian's inventory, only just now going back to base to purchase those Predator boots, so at least he's online with his Keystone. But Contracts takes this opportunity to move into the TSM jungle, steal away one of these camps, grab those chickens, leave the 2 baby ones alive, just make sure the camp resets a little bit more slowly, be a little bit more of a pain in the butt for Acadian there. As you can see, Golden Guardians are off to a very slight gold lead due to the advantages they've built themselves in terms of farm, mostly in the jungle and the top side.
Yeah, mostly on that top side of the map for sure. Bottom lane, though, doing all right, as definitely an Ole here. I think largely in part to Ole and the kind of pressure that he has put on, have been holding pretty strong. They've lost 1 turret plate thus far, but as Sivir gets more levels and items, it can get more and more difficult to actually keep Sivir under her turret. She certainly really ramps up in that wave clear, and Haunter holding strong on this top side is going to be feeling really good about his position in this lane thus far. Early Tabby's complete. He does have some of that defensive setup that I had talked about, and he's going to be looking pretty good going forward.
We're not even just looking at Haunter out-farming a lane opponent 1v1. We're looking at him out-farming a lane opponent 1v1 when it's a Jace. This is a champion that normally you look at and say, yeah, if he's not 15 or 20 CS ahead, he's not actually winning the lane because of the nature of Jace. So what do you say when he's 10 CS behind?
Yeah, and I mean, you do have to remember that it was a forced flash from the gank, so that is certainly playing into it. And, it's hard to play aggressive and bully your opponents when you don't have the flash, because then you become so susceptible to those ganks. So that has played into it. But regardless, Haunter is going to be feeling really good about his positioning. As you say, generally in most matchups when I'm playing in a Jace, if I'm even, I feel like I'm winning. If I'm ahead, I feel like he's getting slammed. It is certainly the pressure on the Jace to really be able to make things happen in those early levels. Generally, Jace wants to play out the game from ahead, but Contracts, again, up here to that top side, going to be zoning him off a couple of those minions, and we'll see how they want to utilize it, because this isn't necessarily going to be like a full-on hardcore split push Jace game. This can very likely just be Jace building up a lethality build and then grouping to poke with his team and utilizing the Jace more for a siege situation than a full-on hardcore split push. So I do think it's less required that he is dominating the 1v1 when you are playing this sort of a strategy.
You can see Acadian was aware there that Contracts and Haunter had moved up into his jungle to steal that red buff away, but considering you're only a Skarner, your mid lane and your top lane are both pressured, you don't really have any ability to fight against this because your Spire had already been captured about 30 seconds beforehand. There's no way he's possibly going to contest that when you just get pillared if you walk too close, so Acadian has to concede that objective. But now, TSM, they seize the opportunity to go to the bottom half of the map. They'll grab the Cloud Drake, and that is a nice early pickup there for them.
Yeah, the additional move speed going to be really nice. You know, playing for those ganks for the Skarner, but also playing around the side lanes for the rest of the team. I've really felt ever since they added the in-combat move speed that the Air Dragon has become quite powerful. So
yeah, I like it.
Certainly a pretty nice pickup there for TSM, and going to be happy to get something back on the bottom side, because it has been mostly Contract spending his time on the top side. He has gotten that slight farm advantage and does have the early Cinderhulk completion here now, so Trundle's certainly at a pretty strong point in the game, and we've been seeing so much Trundle coming back into the meta as he's going up mostly against tank junglers, and big Ole here, Ole.
Good lord, man, Ole is out of there. First blood, TSM.
Yeah, that CC chain just knocking him down, and they didn't have any defensive summoner to really keep him alive, binding into trap, into the 90 caliber net for the headshot. A ton of damage, and they are able to just straight up burst down Ole. A nice 2v2 kill there for Sven and Smoothie, but yeah, I mean, Trundle just fits so well into this meta when there's a lot of hyper carries being played out of the bot lane. You know, you match up well into other tank junglers. You are making their frontline less tanky and yourself more tanky with your ultimate so they can shred through them. And then you build very well into things like Knight's Vow and Zeke's, these supportive items to buff out your kind of super carry in the bottom lane. Here, this is going to be one more time. Ole going for the ward clear here. You know, pretty bold. Thought he would be okay with the shield, but Lux ultimate binding trap out of that. You got headshot for the trap, second headshot with the 90 caliber net reset. He hits the Piltover Peacemaker. That is a full combo, and alt autos were weaved in by Smoothie, you know, for the loose kind of spark there.
Ooh, Contract stepping a little bit too far forward. Going to be found out there. A nice pull. Means Smoothie's going to find the second kill of the game here for TSM.
Yeah, they were not expecting him up here. Now Bjergsen.
Froggen's going to be shuffled back right towards TSM now as well. The egg will only delay the inevitable, and TSM are 3-0.
TSM really ramping it up in this last minute. Kill on the bottom side. Smoothie then running straight top to help his team get two more. The early Mobies here on Smoothie kind of catching Golden Guardians by surprise, I think. I don't think they were really expecting that Lux support would just be straight up roaming top like that. So a really nice move from Smoothie, and now Broken Blade trying to knock him into the turret.
Broken Blade will find that knockback, but Haunter can still get himself away from the fight. Broken Blade doesn't want to take this one any further, and I also have to criticize Contracts a bit. He went straight into enemy territory. Yes, he wanted a ward, but walking up that far alone when the enemy is a Skarner that has Predator and Flash and Ultimate, if anybody's waiting around, you are dead. Speaking of dead, Haunter trying to turn this one back around onto Broken Blade here, able to find the first hit of the queue, looking for even more. Doesn't want to commit anything else here, and Broken Blade disengages that fight.
Yeah, that was played out pretty well by Broken Blade, forcing the ultimate, then jumping back, getting away. And yeah, you know, Contract certainly did end up getting punished, but I don't think he had any idea the Lux was there. And if it is just the Skarner, you're not worried, but now Broken Blade.
Broken Blade forced to flash away in the 1v1. Froggen wants to finish him off if he can, but he won't be able to get there in time. No flash available for the Golden Guardians mid laner means there was no flash wall play. Couldn't cut him off.
They might be able to just get the turret here, though. There was only 2 plates left on that top side, so TSM trying to make a counterplay down here on the bottom lane. Acadian and Smoothie here, and Ole gonna face check.
Acadian not quite with the ulti ready to go just yet. Flash away from Ole to keep himself alive. But now he's stranded underneath the turret. 1 versus 5. He's just waiting for death to come for him. Good night, sweet prince. TSM finding number 4.
Yeah, but in the meantime, their 2 members pop, get the first turret. It's 5 bot for TSM. Trundle is pushing mid, so Golden Guardians is actually getting a decent bit back with this. They may come out ahead on the play, despite losing the 1 man. It's double teleport and definitely, what are you doing up there?
Have no idea why definitely stuck around that long. Acadian waiting for the spell shield to go away, making sure he gets the pull. It's exactly how you play Skarner against Sivir, and that's a free kill going over to TSM. You cannot be giving those away.
Yeah, definitely had no business walking up like that. You have to go up the turret knowing there were so many members from TSM bot, but he goes forward and gives up his life as well as the flash. The play honestly would have been pretty good for them overall, despite going down 1 kill because they got first turret, because they got some plates mid. But, you know, that extra kill going over is pretty detrimental. So here is Olay trying to get a ward. They see that this is coming and definitely makes the right move to just back out. There's no saving Olay at this point. It's 5 members bot. So you're just trying to push elsewhere and get more back. But definitely does decide to try to hang around, see if there's any possibility of kind of joining in for an additional kill. But now back to live here, we can see Olay getting caught out again and pressured. And this is definitely just staying around way too long. You know, this turret is extremely low. And he just straight up walks up to the brush. Their team had not left. There's absolutely no reason to go for that.
When chasing down a Sivir with Skarner, you can fire your E at her immediately. If she doesn't spell shield it, you just run up to her, use your Q to break the spell shield that she'll inevitably use, stun her with that. If she does spell shield the E, well, great, cool, I'm just gonna ult you now. So you put her in a how do you wish to die type of moment, and there's no way for Deathly to get out of that. Like you already said, the right choice was to just never be there in the first place. Yeah. And now the Golden Guardians are down 0-5. They're down 2,000 gold. Hauntzer's not too afraid just yet, though. Contract's going to be moving up there with him. They're looking to start the fight onto Acadian. It is a 2 versus 3, but it's a fight they're still not afraid to take.
Reset.
Acadian's going to fall. That's the reset there for Hauntzer. Continues to look to take this fight further against Broken Blade in the top lane, but no real chance to do much with it. Golden Guardians, I like this aggro, even from behind. They recognize where they're strong, and they play around it.
Yeah, exactly. They got to play to the strong side now. Their bottom lane is very far behind, so move towards your really strong top lane, and they will be able to knock down this mid lane turret. Gold's still very close, despite the fact that TSM has been getting a lot more kills, because the additional tower has gone the way of Golden Guardians. They got a lot of turret plates as well, so things certainly still all right for them. 1,200 gold behind in the bottom lane is a bit concerning, but you have, you know, about an equivalent lead up on the top side. So it's really kind of just who can make more out of that lead. I would say certainly in this meta, we have been mostly seeing the bottom lane be having a better time converting their lead. You know, similarly to earlier today when we saw, you know, kind of this type of situation for FlyQuest where Viper had this big lead on the top side. It can be difficult to kind of really be able to make the most of that sort of advantage, and we'll see if Haunter can find any sort of a TP flank and really kind of get in on top of this team, because that's what it feels like it will require for him to make the most of his lead, where all that really requires for Sven on the Caitlyn to kind of get something done is walk up to the turret, put down some traps, and start shooting the turret.
And for TSM, I also want to see this team stay cohesive, stay as a unit this time around, because yesterday against Optic, they had a similar situation where they were ahead. They had the Drakes, they had the control over the game and the momentum, and they were in charge. And it was a flank from Optic's rookie mid laner in Scarlet on the Vladimir that ultimately turned the tides of the game when TSM just wasn't all together. They weren't ready for that kind of an offensive coming out from their opponents. Golden Guardians have showed to us that they will go for an offensive play even when behind, and TSM needs to make sure they don't lose 2 games in the same weekend to the same type of play.
Yeah, they certainly do, and I think if TSM, you know, is grouped up, and especially if TSM doesn't have, you know, wards behind them, they can't get flanked, it becomes very difficult for Aatrox and these sorts of champions to run through the Caitlyn, through the Lux and the Azir and everyone and get in. So, you know, it is going to have to be, you know, more of that kind of difficult setup. And you can see that TSM, you know, has some wards down as a result of this. Like, when you see this ward here in mid lane, this ward is actually to protect against any potential TP flank. You know, that is because the turret is down. Bjergsen is going to be farming further ahead of that, so he doesn't want any potential ward behind him so that he walks up to push out the wave and all of a sudden he's TP'd on and dead, right? So they are trying to kind of check all those boxes, and they have 5 pink wards out on the map, which you always love to see. At the same time, you can see where the emphasis is for Golden Guardians right now. They want to get things done down here on the bottom side, and you can see all these wards being placed down here as a result. You know, pink ward here, pink ward here. They're kind of moving around their vision all in these areas, trying to now focus on turrets down here because they already have mid and top. And that is how you can often see where the pro teams want to make their plays. It's where they place their vision.
Golden Guardians now have a 3-1 turret lead, taking down all 3 outer turrets. Means they will have more easy access to the TSM side of the map. TSM will strike back here in the top lane, taking down that top lane tier 1 turret, what many consider to be the least important turret on the map. So Golden Guardians not super concerned about that one. The gold's still very close.
The top laners, Flowers.
I mean, sometimes I've been in solo queue before where my top laner says, GG, let it die, I need to farm. Sometimes even the top laners don't want that thing.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure you've been there before.
Yeah, all it's going to do is push it back to them. You're already getting
It's like,
slammed.
just let me out, man.
Yeah.
Let me just farm at my tier 2, have a good time. I'll see you guys in 20 minutes. But Golden Guardians are still in a pretty good spot here for themselves. They've got their Black Cleaver on the Aatrox. You're working on that next item for your Sivir as well. We all know about the 400 CS win condition on the Sivir, and you've also got Froggen on this champion in Anivia that he's so well known for. He's got the Archangel Staff. Rod of Ages is also charging. He's got these stacking items that will make him very powerful as long as he goes on long enough. And Smoothie's in the middle of a terrain pit, forced to flash over the wall.
He got walled and pillared just into this tiny little corner. He's just stuck in the Anivia ultimate. That is so annoying, and they are going to get a splash as a result. This is one of the things that I always feel like separates the good Anivia players from the great.
And here we go. That's going to be an initiation coming out from the side of the Golden Guardians, and they will pop Bjergsen.
Yeah, Bjergsen getting punished pretty heavily. Very fast flash there from Froggen, reacting immediately, so Bjergsen could not ult him in. And Bjergsen just gets knocked down. This will mean Infernal goes the way of Golden Guardians, but yeah, the great Anivia players, you'll always notice, are so good at finding picks and finding traps with their wall. That is something that I think really does take a lot of experience to kind of consistently pull off. It almost makes the champion feel like it's an engaged champion. It's kind of crazy. And knowing these ranges, finds the stun, waits until the stun is expiring, then walls Bjergsen in. Bjergsen goes for the engage, but Froggen had already immediately flashed out. That was very fast reactions from Froggen, so great pick by him. Gets him a kill and the Infernal.
And the important thing to note, at the end of that fight, Ole throws out a hook that Acadian then has to flash away from. Skarner with flash and Skarner without flash are 2 entirely different experiences to have to play around, especially considering no one on the Golden Guardian side has yet paid the QSS tax. They have so much less to worry about now for the next 5 minutes. Golden Guardians should feel comfortable taking advantage of these knockdown turrets that I mentioned, moving forward into TSM territory like this, sitting down some wards, clearing out some of that TSM vision.
Yeah, it's definitely a very good point. The initiation is so much less explosive without that flash, and you can really see the game plan here. I think, we talked about how difficult it is, kind of to engage directly into TSM. Rylai's, works along those lines as well here for the Azir. More additional slows, more disruption for these champions that want to kind of charge in at you. That kind of core 3 of those melee champions on Golden Guardians who will be looking to kind of push forward into TSM, and Rylai is going to help with that. But for now, it is Golden Guardians, vision, that's where they're going, and that is going to be all around this Baron. You can see this line of pink wards right along here. They have multiple pink wards in that area. TSM really has no vision in the pit. They have that lone pink ward in Try near there. But, if Acadian is the show in bottom lane, there is a potential that they can just start up the Baron. But right now, it's TSM trying to make a collapse here.
This has turned into quite a juxtaposition as Froggen is now going to find himself caught out. Mid laners out of position, the name of the mid game here. As Golden Guardians will lose their mid laner, they will lose that wave clear. Definitely will do what he can, but they will not hold on to the tier 1 mid lane turret. And that's a big move for TSM.
Yeah, that is really big because they can actually threaten more than that. They can clear all this vision around the Baron. They can set up for themselves around there, and that kind of pushes Golden Guardians' game plan back a couple minutes once more. So great pick. No flash available on Froggen. He had spellbooked over to the exhaust and the TP. So no way for him to get out of that one at all. And you can see, very impressive record for Bjergsen on Azir. Tends to be a pattern with Bjergsen and his LCS records on lots of different champions. The guy wins a lot.
Turns out when you're one of the winningest players in LCS, you win on a lot of different stuff. Who would have guessed? Bjergsen.
Ooh, he's got a good record on this.
A man who's earned his fistful of championship rings that he's currently in possession of.
And MVPs.
We'll see if he's able to bring this one home here with the rest of TSM. They're still commanding an ever so slight lead. Next Infernal Drake will be spawning here in 2 minutes. We are 24 minutes almost into the game, so that means Baron is live. And with all the damage capability on both these teams, with the crit marksman, with the high damage, sustained damage mid laners, Baron can easily be taken if somebody messes up too bad.
Yeah, it certainly can. And Frog in here closing in on death cap, that is going to be such a big buy for him. Needs about 800 more gold to complete that. Already has his 2 stacking items, as you pointed out earlier, but they are nearly fully completed. Seraphs is online, Roa just 1 stack away. So, you know, when you do hit that 3-item death cap with 2 fully stacked items, the Anivia is going to be monstrously strong. If you cannot pull off that sort of initiation and get on top of Anivia and kill her off, she is going to be shredding through you.
I mean, the only person on this side of TSM that's going to be building any tank stats whatsoever, besides an Aftershock on Lux XD, is Acadian Skarner. But look at the inventory. You've got the pieces of a Righteous Glory, which is health and armor. You've got a Cinder Hulk, which is health. And you've got Mercury Treads. So there, 20 magic resistance on your shoes. That's not exactly going to sustain you against a 400 AP Anivia. Yeah. And Acadian will have to be very, very
like
careful.
Having some steel-toed boots to protect you from getting hit by a truck.
Or lava. one of the two.
Lava?
It's not going to work out very well, one way or the other.
I think lava sounds worse.
Yeah, probably. I mean, people have survived getting hit by a truck before. I don't know if anybody ever survived a volcano.
It depends how much lava, you know?
All right, I guess that's what we'll have to see how much lava Froggen is made out of this game. As Broken Blade takes about half his HP and damage there from Haunter in that bottom lane. Death's Dance Black Cleaver, no joke here on the Aatrox. And Ole definitely not feeling too good after the damage there from TSM either. This long-range poke power, nothing to scoff at. As Bjergsen steps forward, raises up the Sun Disc for protection. Acadian's on the front line there, but man, look at those shields. He has no reason to be afraid. Yeah,
very little room for error, honestly, for these two teams in their engages. If either team messes up, big stun, though!
Now it's going to start off here. We're going to see Smoothie going into the stasis here. Immediately, Sven also going to be keeping himself alive just for a moment. Smoothie taken down. Also going to be Ole traded away. TSM on the retreat. Acadian's going to be taken down. Haunter's popping off. The wings of death fly through the TSM back lines. And it's a double kill for the Golden Guardians top laner.
And it's going to be straight to Baron for them as they only lost Ole. All 4 of their most important members still alive. Bjergsen and Sven, I think they're going to make the call to give it up and take an Infernal. But that is a huge stun again from Froggen. He has been a monster this game, creating so much of the action for them with these initiations from the Anivia.
The Anivia setting up the plays. Haunter following it up with a few swoops of that giant sword to cut down TSM. Let's see it all again.
Yeah, here it is. Gets the stun on both the bottom laners. Smoothie and Sven both forced to Hourglass there. Smoothie flashes out, immediately dies after though, and then the ultimate was used onto Haunter, but he is going in. Q Flash gets the reset, chasing down on the Broken Blade. No escape for him, another reset, so no chance for Bjergsen and Sven to turn around and look for a fight there, and TSM up against it now. They do at least trade back the Infernal, so if they can survive the Baron buff, they have equalized in that regard.
Both parts of the Anivia Q, the Anivia E, and I think 1 or 2 ticks of the R took Smoothie 100 to 0. Or the heal kept him alive, but it would have been the equivalent of 100 to 0. This Anivia is an absolute monster at this point in the game. I'm pretty sure we're at a volcano's worth of lava at this point in time. And now they've got that Baron buff. Now we want to see what they can do with it. Baron power play currently at a bit under 2,000 gold as it hovers around that point, and Golden Guardians will build that number even higher, pushing down the bottom lane, 4 men strong here, seeing if they can take this to the TSM base. Tier 3 is going to be under siege. TSM, not enough bodies here in time, Azael, and Golden Guardians will put a lot of damage into this turret, might even be able to take it down.
Yeah, I think they're just going to get this one. I mean, Froggen's sitting at over 600 AP with 3 items, and they're going to go in.
Acadian goes in. He grabs the enemy support, but he sacrifices himself for it. This is what I was talking about early on, Azael. One frontliner. If he messes up, all of a sudden the engage is gone. The ability to start these things off is gone. Contracts and Froggen continuing to look for more. They're able to find Smoothie and take him out. but it will be a 1-for-1 there. Definitely Haunter and Froggen. Now going to be pressuring onto the tier 3 into the mid lane as well. Froggen in some trouble. Critical positioning error will be heavily punished. And Bjergsen takes a triple.
Yeah, Golden Guardian's gonna get wiped off the map as they go too far. Contract's flashing forward for a kill they already had. And then you see Froggen on the Anivia walking through, trying to get back to the rest of his team. He gets caught out.
Yeah.
Bjergsen with the triple kill, who is 7-1-2 now, quietly getting monstrously strong himself. And let's watch this one more time. Olay very quick on the ultimate, so he gets the ultimate off on Acadian before he gets grabbed. As Acadian goes forward here, watch Olay. As soon as the ult does go off, he has already triggered his, so the Skarner cannot actually back up at all and create any space to knock them down. Then chasing forward, watch Smoothie here. He's gonna get pillared in, and they are gonna be looking for Smoothie. I do believe they would have been able to actually kill him without Contracts even going forward. It looks like he's very low. Yeah, I mean, he's already dead before Contract actually flashes. Then Froggen is separated from the rest of the team. Froggen maybe should have just tried to walk
flash over the wall.
Or flash through the wall, yeah. Instead, he holds on to that, thinking he can just walk back to the team, but he gets knocked down into the egg. And as the rest of the team tries to come in and bail him out, Bjergsen says, no, you don't. Shuffles them away. Haunter and Deathly cleaned up. And that is a critical mistake for Golden Guardians. That could have been potentially a game-winning push. You got 2 kills right there. You could have knocked down multiple inhibitors, and now they're going to get engaged on here once again.
On the hunt, used to make sure the Golden Guardians keep their distance, but you said it. We discussed at the beginning of this game how with the standings being so tight right now, with so many of the teams being so close to the top, only separated by a single game, you can't make these kinds of errors.
No.
These are the kinds of things that can prevent you from getting a win that you otherwise would have already earned for yourselves. Golden Guardians probably kicking themselves a little bit for that one, but still in a very close game here. 200 gold apart against TSM 30 minutes in.
Yeah, it just feels like in the league these weeks that we have been seeing in Summer Split, it is all down to execution. There's so many of these teams that are so closely matched that have the ability to take each other down, and you often do not get to make those kinds of mistakes and come out on top. We'll see if they're going to get punished because Skarner is waiting behind. They want to try to have a Skarner flank here as Bjergsen is going to rejoin with the team, and then I think they're going to trigger Acadian to go in, perhaps around this dragon that is spawning in 20 seconds. But it's certainly the long con here for Acadian. He has been here for quite some time, trying to get in a good position. He has to be careful, though, that he's not actually spotted out, because if he gets caught away from the team, but he's on Froggen!
He hits the back line. Froggen's going to be suppressed, pulled back towards TSM. Golden Guardians looking to turn the fight right back around. Acadian going to be taken very low. Haunter takes him down, and now he's gone to Reset City. He'll go into the Resurrection. Contracts nearly killed himself. Definitely free-firing into the TSM lines, but he's going to be taken low, and Bjergsen is dominating. 2 dead on the side of the Golden Guardians. When in doubt, call for Bjergsen. The man knows how to carry.
He is refusing to lose this game, going in, knocking down multiple members at the end of that fight. Bjergsen, so strong at this point in the game, and definitely really felt like he had the strength to clean up that fight. He's on his 3 items, but now they are getting pushed in. They will lose at least 1 inhibitor. Contracts is doing the dragon at this point, so he will be able to trade the dragon back. Remember, the Baron is spawning here pretty shortly. The next dragon will be Elder, so it just gets more and more complex from this point.
What a game of tug of war between these two teams. Golden Guardians trying to hang on. TSM again, sneaking Acadian through the back lines, through the vision. They did it once earlier in the mid game. They made it work here again to come around behind, catch Froggen by surprise. Froggen still no QSS on this Anivia to get out of these pulls.
Yeah, he didn't have the QSS, but he did survive the initial play, and they got the first kill. But despite that, they overchased, and now they're looking.
Now they're starting off. Bjergsen has to flash over the wall to keep himself alive. Oleg's still looking to make it happen. You bring Bjergsen down, you're going to win yourself the game, but Haunter's now the one who's going to be targeted. He has to flash out, but he's taken down. TSM have found a huge fight. The Golden Guardians bite off way more than they can chew, and they'll be absolutely annihilated.
They get shredded, but Froggen trying to turn this around. Look at the damage from Froggen!
Oh, but now it's nothing but a sunny side up breakfast on the side brush of the red pit. That's Ben going on another kill for himself. Contract's healing up in the brush. Not really a match for Broken Blade 1v1, or maybe he is. Broken Blade trying to put some damage back down onto him.
He's gonna
Contracts should be able to take him down here, and I am found wrong in my analysis. The Trundle takes down that Jace. And now Skarner versus Trundle, 1v1. Skarner building full tank, not on a Skarner
He's got
Spire.
the Warmogs, he's
This is
healing
not
up.
a fight that Skarner wins. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw that out there. Trundle is the one who wins this fight, but not unless he's alone. The only way you can win this is if you're fighting Skarner fair, and TSM is not about a fair fight. They'll look to hand this one over to Sven, put more money in the hands of the AD carry, but Contracts will waste as much time as he can before Bjergsen swoops in.
But that may have, potentially saved the game. He actually bought so much time, draws multiple members up to that top lane, gets a kill on Broken Blade.
Yeah.
But it is going to be the Baron, very likely going the way of TSM, so that is the cost here, as he died, and he died very late after the fight, so still 30 seconds on his spawn timer. Baron is now live. Will Golden Guardians elect to try to fight for this Baron or give it up? Because Froggen is over here. This is a dangerous spot. He's out by himself, and he has to be so careful, because you have to feel like if Froggen goes down once more, the game is over. But it seems like Golden Guardians unwilling to give up this Baron. They are in the area here, but Broken Blade,
The traps. The traps mean that Golden Guardians have no way into this. TSM will take the Baron by force. They're now commanding quite an impressive lead. 3,500 gold. Baron up on everybody. Everybody alive on the Golden Guardians to try to defend this one. But TSM have been the ones finding plays and finding fights. When Golden Guardians tried to force that last one, it was just way too heavy-handed, and they got punished.
and more specifically, Bjergsen has been finding plays and finding fights. He has been so damn good. On that last play, it felt like it was a good start to the fight again for Golden Guardians, but they get separated, split up by this Azir wall, and then, when you're fighting into this choke, Azir, Caitlyn, Lux, all these champions are clogging it up and making it so difficult to actually get all the way into the fight. They get shredded down. And I do think Golden Guardians made the right call to give up the Baron, because while the Baron is very powerful, you still have really good wave clear, and the game can still end off of one team fight. If you can get one clean fight at 35 minutes, you can march it down and end the game.
And while we've been praising Bjergsen this entire time, and rightfully so, I also want to give props to Sven, who's quietly 2-0-13, no deaths so far in the game, highest farm of anyone, only recently eclipsed by Bjergsen by one single CS. He's been putting down the traps where they need to be, doing the DPS and the team fights. He's been having a fantastic game here for himself on the Caitlyn as well, and it might be what this team needs to push them into the Golden Guardians.
And that, I think, is Sven really, at his best, is he's so consistent at pumping out damage, positioning well in team fights, always staying safe. That is kind of his hallmark, as a really strong marksman player. TSM now looks like they are trying to set up. You can see this vision toggle. Golden Guardians can see very little outside of their base. The Elder is coming up in 25 seconds, and that is where TSM wants to go next. They are going to try to force Golden Guardians to attack into them without the vision, which becomes very difficult, because if you're face checking into a binding, into traps, into this pre-set up Azir, it's going to be a hell of a time getting through there.
So much easier for TSM to make their own play when Acadian can wait for someone to fall into his trap. I've said it before, Skarner feels so good against diving styles of champions and compositions.
They can't do this.
They'll
No
come
way.
right to you. Golden Guardians have no way to move towards these battle lines drawn by TSM, and TSM will take that Elder Drake. For the next minute, they have both buffs.
Yeah, there's just no way you can walk through a 6-item Azir with a Rylai's who has his ultimate up. There's just no chance you're actually getting through there. So you guys can hit up chat, vote on what ingredients you want to be in Mark or Crumb smoothie, depending on the winner of this game. It looks pretty disgusting.
Yeah, I'm glad I don't have to drink that.
That's me too, but I was still voting for the worst possible ingredient.
Yeah, I know that you were trolling behind the scenes because when you told me about it, you were laughing about how much gross stuff you voted to put in the smoothie. So
All right,
come
back
on,
to the
man.
game.
All right, back to the smoothie on our screens, and the rest of TSM breaking open the base here in the bottom lane. Golden Guardians will have to find their fight here soon. Otherwise, TSM will just run over these inhibitors, but you've got to respect the power of that Elder Drake.
Yeah, I think they might actually just try to be waiting it out, right? You try to wave clear as much as you can. Baron's almost gone.
Broken Blade forced to flash over the wall. Bjergsen now retreating, almost able to take down that mid lane inhibitor.
Yeah, so no Baron buff anymore, so you can wave clear this out instantly. Golden Guardians want to actually avoid a fight. There's a minute left on the Elder, but they're going to go in
Golden
now.
Guardians aren't going to be avoiding much of anything when they go fishing and land themselves a big one. Acadian taken out. But now Ole is incredibly low in the HP department. Got to be concerned about that one. Redemption coming in. Ole will be topped off a little bit from that one. Haunter wants to approach from the top. However, there's no way into the fight when TSM can so easily disengage. Acadian's the one guy you can really sink your fangs into. He's the one melee member. Everybody else will maintain distance and continue to do this.
Yeah, Golden Guardians able to get that one kill thanks to a nice wall. Some good play there from Froggen. As well as Contracts. They're using the terrain creation very, very well, and they kind of segmented off the rest of TSM, which allowed them to fight, but still, they don't want a committed fight into an Elder buff team. It's just so much added power to, you know, this full build Azir and nearly full build Caitlyn, who are already insanely strong at this point in the game, so they have to be really careful about that. They have waited out the buffs, and with the 2 super buffs, TSM only did knock down the 1 inhibitor, so Golden Guardians still are okay in this game. It really will just come down to who can actually get the final fight, who can knock down enough inhibitors to really secure it, because 1 inhibitor at 40 minutes doesn't matter. They have more than enough wave clear to take that down forever.
Ghost. Not a ghost, but a speed up rather used as now Golden Guardians looking to find their engage here yet again. Flash over the wall to stay safe. Ole having a flash out now, keeping himself alive. TSM disengaging this one, now looking for maybe an opportunity to continue to look for the fight. Contracts on the front line, Acadian with the Righteous Glory, looking for the opportunity to engage. However, a nice disengage once again coming out from Froggens and Nivea. Sundisk going to be spawned up there. Golden Guardians retreating away. Don't want to fight on top of that one.
Yeah, the problem here is Ole has to reset. The Baron's going to be up in 30, so you're going to be in another spot where TSM has first kind of dibs on the Baron, right? They're going to get in this area, they're going to set up the trap line, and you'll have to try to walk through Bjergsen, which we already saw at the Elder Dragon, they cannot do. So Golden Guardians, just by losing that skirmish, may have given up another Baron, but now Bjergsen, he's looking like he may want to go in here. He's threatening at least.
He will be stopped. Froggen critically throwing up the wall to make sure Bjergsen can't do a double dash there with the Q and the E combined to get behind him and try to shuffle him away.
Oh, okay. You can see that the teleport is ready for Haunter. He's actually sitting in base. He wants to potentially go for a flank, but TSM is going to TP straight to the turret. Bjergsen can knock this down incredibly fast with Sven.
TSM just looking to out macro. That's going to be a 4-shot on the inhibitor turret. They'll take down the inhib itself. Golden Guardians struggling to rotate around and answer this in any capacity. Froggen's on the side, Contracts all alone in the jungle. He's gonna be found out, pulled back by Acadian, taken down by Sven.
And that is Baron guaranteed to TSM now. You have no jungler, and TSM with the macro plays moving around the map. That was very intelligent stuff. Bjergsen TPs to that top lane. Sven already there as well. They knock down the inhibitor almost instantly, and Contracts, you know, is still trying to kind of stay around the Baron pit. He doesn't want to base and then have them just turn to the Baron, so he's trying to stay in area to threaten to stop there. But they're not together, they're not grouped up, and they are really struggling to deal with how well TSM is setting up around these carries and how well they're protecting them. It's got to be some sort of a pick, some sort of a grab from Ole or Froggen. But TSM is playing it so safe, so calm, that they have not been able to find an advantageous fight for, it feels like 15 minutes.
Somebody give me a Photoshop of one of those World's Strongest Man competitions where they're carrying the giant stone spheres, but the sphere is Summoner's Rift and the man is Bjergsen. He has been carrying this game himself so hard this time around, finding plays, finding opportunities, teleporting in there to make sure they're able to bring down that turret and that inhibitor instantly. This guy wants to bring TSM back to where they're at. I remember discussing yesterday.
To this.
Haunter trying to go forward. Sven is the target. Haunter still looking to find a little bit more damage on him. That's going to be a big pick if Golden Guardians are able to find it and secure the damage. Haunter looking to go even further. Now Acadian's going to be the target, but Broken Blade is in the base of the Golden Guardians. Frog going to be the one trying to stop him. Needs to find the stun. Broken Blade's nearly able to take him down. Oh! Froggen with the clean outplay.
Froggen just erased Broken Blade off of the map. They get 2 picks, but at the same time, Their base is shattered, so Golden Guardians are stuck on the defensive. Second Elder is spawning. Golden Guardians, I think, have to make a mad dash.
You have to.
You gotta go for this right now, because giving second Elder that double-powered buff to TSM would certainly spell doom.
This is a battle of the birds. Their bird has already showed that he is going to kick everybody's ass if he gets this thing again. You have got to make sure you get this buff. Put your bird in a spot where he can defend 1 versus 5 with that wave clear, and that's exactly what Golden Guardians are going for now. Smoothie's the only one from TSM, even in the area. There will be no contest for this aside from a laser. Golden Guardians, very glad to see that one didn't get stolen away, but now they've got to get back to base. Remember, Elder doesn't give you an empowered recall, so they have to wait the full timer and get back here to help Froggen defend this.
Yeah, and they will be able to do so. TSM, not feeling like they can try to contest, and it would have been way too risky to try to go over there, because if you die, again, post 40 minutes, the res timers are so long. You're very high level, it's very late in the game, so one death can really mean doom, especially if you are one of those critical carries. Credit to Golden Guardians for finding that pick on Sven. It didn't look like it was going to work out, but Haunter just hard committed to that, with the flash, with the move speed from his ulti. He was determined to chase down Sven, and Sven, wasn't thinking that he was actually in a position where they could get over onto him.
3 out of 4 of the carries, marksmen and mid laners this game, are at full build. Froggen's sitting at 2,500 gold in inventory, so only needs another 100 or so before he can turn that stopwatch into a full-fledged hourglass and be full build as well. We're getting to the point where people are not going to be any stronger. The top laners are full build except for upgrading the sashes into Mercurial Scimitars. The game has to end soon. We're hitting critical mass here where there's just no other alternative unless somehow all 10 players die. Elder Dragon alive as a buff for another 1 minute on the side of the Golden Guardians. Baron power play finishes about 1,400 gold negative for TSM, but honestly, the gold doesn't matter anymore.
And it's worth mentioning, Froggen decides, no, I'm not going for Zonius. He's going for more damage. So he grabbed Morelos as that 6th item. So, this is kind of risk versus reward. Do you want the more defensive Zonias?
That's the chat in Nivea.
If they're jumping on you, yeah, he's going pure damage. But it's going to be risky, and this is also risky here for Deathly. If he walks forward, he could just be dead.
Okay, all right, that was...
That's a clincher.
Yeah, that one could have been very bad very quickly. If he did not make the decision he did to put down that blue trinket into the brush, TSM will be found out there attempting to make that camp. 25 more seconds have the Golden Guardians on this Elder Drake before it expires. TSM happy to just wait that out. Same thing Golden Guardians tried to do earlier in the base. TSM wants to do now. No reason to fight when they have that edge.
Yeah, Golden Guardians aren't really being able to get anything done with this at all, right? Which is somewhat concerning because they're worried about potential backdoor. There's only one Nexus turret. All their inhibitors are open. They're very worried about how they even engage. So great, you have this added power, but how do you get through TSM into their backline? That has been
quite a question.
The constant struggle for them, and it feels like without some sort of a flank, I don't think they can do it. I think it's pretty much just impossible to run straight at TSM and win a team fight. As they have shown, Bjergsen and Sven positioning so well, and the rest of the squad just kind of clogging up these little corridors that TSM is trying to force you to engage through. So it's got to be some sort of a pick. It's got to be some sort of a flank from Golden Guardians. But they know if they can just hang around, one mistake from TSM could spell doom in this game. Could mean that you just walk down mid and end the game, and you get to sit with the gray screen and watch as it happens.
This is where both heroes and zeros are made. You have the ability in your hands as any one player on the Rift in a 47-minute game to be the sole reason your team wins or your team loses. The pressure is on. Let's see what they can do here as both teams set up shop in the middle of the map. Broken Blade in the bottom lane, split pushing on the Jace, TP ready to go. Haunter, no TP available on the Aatrox to answer him. Golden Guardians are just going to be kept at bay right now by TSM.
They've got to engage.
You have to either engage right now or go back and stop Broken Blade because he's about to hit the base.
Yeah, okay, so they're going to send Haunter down. That was certainly a bit of a delayed reaction, but Broken Blade will back off. Haunter can get down there quickly enough, and ooh, that's a bit of a scary recall.
Yeah, that was
definitely not going to be canceling that one, but he is down back to the bottom lane. He has his TP available, so they're going to have him actually answering Broken Blade because Haunter's TP wasn't up, and the Baron is live. But again, Golden Guardians now have to funnel through these areas. There's the trap set up. Here's Bjergsen sitting on his tower, and Golden Guardians look like they want to get Bjergsen.
Ole's going to engage, but it's only onto Acadian. That's the frontliner. That's the one guy you don't want to be engaging onto. You have no Your support is dead, and things are grim for the Golden Guardians.
Yeah, they wanted to go for that, but Acadian just blocking his path, so he couldn't actually get the hook onto Bjergsen, and his parries weren't in the area to actually follow up anyway. Sivir was not there. This is going to mean yet another Baron going the way of TSM, and they will have this Baron buff for when the second Elder spawns again. Third Elder of the game, but they're actually looking like they want to fight. Gotta be careful.
Golden Guardians trying to go for something here. Froggen flashing away from Acadian, keeping himself from getting grabbed. Haunter looking for some damage onto Bjergsen there in the back line. Golden Guardians still looking to maybe take the fight even further. Froggen's going to be taken low, gets himself away. Golden Guardians disengaging now, still 14 seconds before Olay is back alive. But here comes the Burger King. Around from behind, the Golden Guardians find themselves routed. Froggen's going to be taken very low. Goes into the egg now, they'll have to try to protect him. Golden Guardians grouped up, trying to play Protective President. The VIP is down, and Bjergsen will again find his mark. Broken Blade kills Contracts, and the Golden Guardians stand 3v5, 2v5, 1v5. TSM chasing into the base. Definitely the last man standing, and Sven will keep him in the fountain. TSM are on the victory march after 49 minutes, the longest game of Summer Split. TSM will take down the Golden Guardians.
And what a performance by Bjergsen, even finding the teleport flank to end the game, getting behind Frog and corralling him into the rest of the team. That was one of the best Azir games you are ever going to see. That was an insane performance from the TSM carries. Sven, only 1 death, 2 on Bjergsen. TSM, once they got online, Golden Guardians just could not find ways to get into the fight. They could not find a way to get a flank or to engage through all these traps and the Lux binding and the Azir wall. That was honestly really well played out by TSM, but credit to Golden Guardians for keeping it close for 50 minutes.
Golden Guardians held on as long as any team could be expected to hold on for, but the composition of late game area control with the Azir and the Caitlyn and the Lux, we discussed it so much in Champion Select about how important it was going to be, and sure enough, the traps kept Golden Guardians away from the objectives. Bjergsen was able to keep everybody scared from even going near the team fight thanks to the soldiers with the Rylais like you talked about. This team synergized so well together. And hey,